Rob at Higher Power Performance again here, trying to give you a mental picture of my plan of attack towards some negative results with HHO and some positive. I've got this Oldsmobile engine just for test basis and visual. I have the piston set at 35 degrees before top dead center, and the piston is 580 thousandths before top dead center, so it's over a half an inch down. So this piston is still, visualize this with me, it's still moving up. It's not in its power stroke, it's still in the compression area. So you have some resistance with, as you're compressing this fuel, you're increasing pressure in this cylinder, so you have some negative resistance already. Cylinder head design, chamber design. You have pore design heads, which your intake air coming in, it'll come in your intake port through your manifold, carburetor, whatever, into your head at a certain velocity, and this is going to vary on everything. So what's going on, and it's going to come out, go through the fuel bowl, and kind of spin in a tornado, in a spinning action. Visualize a tornado coming off of this intake valve into the chamber. Well, this spinning action helps your fuel, as it gets compressed. It's in liquid form. So what's going on, as it enters the chamber under the vacuum, you have some peel off, vapor peel off and stuff, but and that's on the downstroke. So your fuel gets somewhat vaporized, but then it comes up to compress the stuff again and turns it back into a liquid. So we have a very minimal amount of fuel vapor to burn. So mechanically, we introduce spark at, say, your newer cars 30 to 50 degrees before top dead center. We're adding heat and starting the little vapors we have burning, because as we heat up fuel, it'll vaporize. So we need to get this fire started before the power stroke. So it's coming up, already on fire, it's still squishing. As it comes down, as that piston draws away, your pressure is going to increase exponentially. Your fuel will rapidly deteriorate, turn into a vapor, and combust and explode. Better designed heads have the air coming in, and you can increase horsepower and fuel efficiency on any engine by introducing a better head. And that same engine will need less lead time to make use of the fuel and have more power. Now, a little explanation why. This air and fuel charge will come in at a much higher velocity and a much better controlled swirl. So it's a systematic approach to the way the air is moving, and it's going to vaporize more of this fuel before it gets into the combustion chamber. So when you compress it back, yes, some of your fuel will turn back into a liquid, but you have more available vapor to start the process. That's why we need less timing. Now we're introducing HHO into it, which is just 1,000 times faster burn rate than petrol, and this is a conservative end of it. NASA's put it at 12,792 feet per second. NASA also has said that HHO has 2.6 to 3 times the combustion power of petrol. Now, it has way less BTUs, so we can't take advantage of heat in breaking down the petrol. We have to take advantage of this mechanical power, this force, this combustion force, and that will also help vaporize fuel. So we should be getting better fuel mileage, right? Yeah, not necessarily. We've started this HHO, and it is diluted, but your hydrogen is, on the lightest or lighter end of the periodic table, so it's going to try and settle up near your spark plug. Well, your 50 degrees advance has lit this off and started the process at a much faster rate than it normally would with petrol. So it's creating more resistance on this piston and consuming some of your original petrol fuel at the same time. Now you go to your compression or your power cycle, and you've lost some of your original fuel charge that this engine needs, which is going to result in a high CO2 content. And everybody's thinking that it's because of the HHO that the O2 is higher, which we've kind of already proven that wrong in previous videos. So now we're leaning, a lot of us are leaning out the mixture even more, and we're still going to get a little better fuel mileage, but now we're putting this poor piston under severe temperature conditions, and not having enough fuel to make enough power. So we're getting better mileage by just cutting out all of our fuel. Well, why don't you go ahead and do that without HHO? It can be done. I've already done it. Hopefully Rad Gen 2 will get back to us on that. But so my whole thought is, we either, and people have suggested, well, we need to make the fuels act more the same. So, well, let's slow down the HHO. Well, if we do that, we're defeating our purpose of making effective use of this more powerful combustion. If we make it act like gasoline, it's going to burn slower, and the actual mechanical force isn't going to be there. So I think a better approach would be, let's try and get the gasoline to be faster like the HHO. Now we can balance that perfect timing curve and perfect HHO mix to petrol and find a compromise in timing and effectively make more combustion, more force to push that piston down. And we are going to lose some BTUs in the process. But the mechanical end of the energy is what we're after. That's how we're going to get better fuel mileage. Let's quit wasting this heat into our cooling system and out the pipes. So this is my my deductive reasoning on what's going on positively and negatively. I hope I've explained this in layman's enough terms that you guys kind of idea what's going on. So it's going to be a hard nut to crack. We're going to have to figure out perfect HHO mixtures to any given engine, and we're going to have to then reprogram that computer to make a compromise. We can't have two separate sparks, and let's try and spark just the petrol sooner and then add the HHO later. Well, if you do that, you've got the fire already burned and you're going to have a backflash every time. And you're also going to have high pressure because your cylinder pressures are already be higher than atmospheric. So we need to figure out how to make fuel burn faster so we can compromise on this situation. I hope some of this information helps. It's been another long day, so have a great night.